Hello everybody, and here we are. It's time for my X-Pro3 review. Thank you for coming back, and or maybe you might not have come back, you might have just come here for the first time, in which case thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy this video. For those of you who watched the previous video where I took this out of a box, thank you for watching and thank you for your comments. I am going to try and cover as much of this as I can, but try to keep the waffle chat down to a minimum, but that's going to be tricky. So I've had this X-Pro3 now for maybe a month tomorrow. Oh, it's its birthday tomorrow. So yeah, a month tomorrow, and so far I've used it probably every day. Don't think I've used it today. Hold on. I've used it every day, and I have to say I love this camera. I had, just to give you a bit of a background, I guess, just very quickly, before I had two X-Pro3s, which the other X-Pro3 is recording this, I had an X-Pro2 and an X100F, and I used the X100F pretty much for all of my personal work, and which I'll put a little link somewhere, wherever the bottom of the screen is. But I store all my personal stuff on a Tumblr blog, and all of that is shot with the X100. But this is now doing all my personal work, and I also use the X100 along with the X-Pro2 for all my wedding related work. So yeah, I loved both of those cameras. I especially loved the X100. So getting rid of that and getting rid of the X-Pro2 to buy two of these X-Pro3s was, yeah, it was exciting, but I was kind of dreading getting rid of the X100, to be honest. But needless to say, I am very happy with the switchover so far. From a look and a feel, I mean, the camera feels pretty much the same as the X-Pro2, to be honest. I don't think you'd notice too much of a change, aside from maybe a slightly better grip. So it's a slightly more chunkalicious grip. It's got this nice little ridge here on the back for your thumb. That wouldn't have been possible if they had the D-pad in there. And it's got a slightly more raised front grip there as well, which is quite nice. But other than that, it feels pretty much the same. They've redone the EVF, which was much needed because the rubber seal on the old X-Pro2s was dodgy. I've actually owned about 3 X-Pro2 bodies over the last few years, and every single one of them I lost the little seal. And I'd say probably every X-Pro2 user out there has had that exact problem. So that's no longer an issue, and they've modified the diopter dial to make it very almost impossible to touch by accident. So they're all good positive changes, but other than that, as I say, it's pretty much the same camera. Some people asked, why did I go for, some people, maybe one person, asked why did I go for the black as opposed to the fancy new Dura black or Dura silver finishes. And the reason, oh, there's some light. The reason is because I like the black, and also the black was out first. I would have had to wait for another 2 or 3 weeks, maybe if I wanted the Dura finish. I didn't want to wait, I wanted it now. But I like the black, and I have to say, I have seen some videos of the fingerprint smudging that happens on the Dura. I haven't seen any videos now about the Dura silver, but I know that the Dura black one seems to be a bit of a fingerprint magnet, and that would only annoy me. What else? Well, there's of course the famous or infamous, I never know the difference, of the tilt screen, the rear screen, and how it has divided the opinion of many. I have to say, I do like the flippy down. I do. I didn't know if I would, but I do. And I'll tell you one thing. It feels good. It's a nice flippy down, because I used to own an XT1 a long time ago, and I've tried it. I actually also owned an XT2, but I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. But this has the nicest flippy down feel. It's very, just, you know, it just comes down so easy. There's none of this doing this and then doing that. It's not like a double hinge jobby. It's just straight down. And I've seen some videos, people saying, oh, it's a bit finicky. It's not finicky. It's not finicky. You just do that, and do that, and do that, and do that. It's not finicky. And another thing I will say is that I know that the reason that they put this little screen on here and got rid of the LCD was so that they could say that, you know, we want to free the photographer from the LCD. We want them to look through the EVF. Well, I'll tell you one thing, Fuji people. I shot a wedding about 2 weeks ago, and I used the LCD more than I've probably ever used it in my life, because I was doing the old secret Nelly down below at their job, and shooting from the hip is they call it. And I have to say it's pretty good. And the other thing that's pretty good about it is the old touch focus. So you can press a little button up here, set it so that it's just autofocus. So you can just tap, and it focuses, and you can do tap, recompose even if you want, and yeah, it's kind of handy. Or you could just do tappy touch, tap and touch and shoot. So I like the tilt screen. I think it's very handy. I think it is very handy, and the quality of that screen is amazing. The quality of the screen is actually even nicer than in the EVF for some reason. Why is that? I've noticed this. I've went, wow, that looks really amazing. And then I put my eye to the EVF and I go, yeah, it still looks amazing, but it just looks slightly different for some reason. You can modify the, there's a setting in the menu that you can go into screen setup, and you can change EVF color adjustment and LCD color adjustment, as well as LCD color and LCD brightness, and EVF color and EVF brightness. You've also got EVF color adjustment and LCD color adjustment. So you can kind of modify those to kind of try to match each other as close as you can, which I've done, but you know, it's just the ever so slight difference between the two. I don't know why that is, but however, both the LCD screen and the EVF are beautiful. People ask, you know, is EVF much bigger? It's bigger. It's not XT series bigger, but it's bigger than the old X-Pro series, and definitely bigger than the X100 series. So it is a bigger viewfinder. And the one thing that's great is that as a glasses wearer, when I hold it up to my eye, I can now see the full EVF in there. Pretty much. I really squeeze hard. But pretty much see the whole EVF, no problem. With the old spegaroos off, then it's easy peasy. God, it is a beautiful viewfinder though. And when you put on that smoothness setting, it is extremely good. So very, very smooth. Although I've noticed that in some fluorescent lighting scenarios, when you have the smoothness option turned on, that it's quite juddery. I don't know, something to do with the fact that it skips a frame every so often or whatever, or puts in a black frame in between every other frame to kind of get this 200 frames per second display. But it seems to have an issue with fluorescent lighting, so you turn it back to the usual 100 frames per second and you're all good. So what else can I tell you about it? Battery life is excellent. Again, I've seen people say that 350 shots you know, is to be expected. I am telling you now, the wedding that I shot, I had two X-Pro3s, and when the first battery died in one of the X-Pros, with the other camera, I took a photograph of the battery in my hand. Oh, sorry, no, what I did was I changed the battery, and then I took a photograph of the old battery in my hand so that I would be able to see how many shots it was. And I'll tell you how many shots that was right now, because I need to go and look it up. It's there. It's right there. It's a lot of shots. I don't know how many shots it is, but it's a lot. It's more than 350. It's probably like 900, 1,000. It's a lot of shots. So I don't know where this 350 shot thing is coming out of, or 400 shot estimated shots. Maybe that's, you know, you take a shot, turn the camera off for a while, turn the camera on, take another couple of shots, turn the camera off for a while. But when you're shooting all day in a professional environment and you're shooting a wedding, if I had to change a battery every 350 shots, I'd be changing batteries all day long. Well, I shot a full wedding on 4 batteries. 2 pretty much fully expired batteries, maybe less than 10%. I normally take them out when they get to around 10% remaining. And the other 2 batteries are just the batteries that were in the camera whenever I finished the wedding. So who knows what was left in those. But it was a full day, 12 hour shoot, more or less. Yeah, good battery life, very good battery life. The fact that there's no charger still bugs me a little bit. I did go off and buy a little third-party charger, which works perfectly fine. You can stick in 2 batteries at the same time. It's perfect, and I'll put a little link in the description somewhere where you can buy that if you wish. But it's about 1/5 of the price of the regular Fuji charger. What else can I tell you about the autofocus? The autofocus is first class. Obviously it's faster, but what I've noticed primarily about the autofocus is that it's brilliant in 2 scenarios where it used to be not so brilliant. One is, well, I'll prove this point right now. Whenever I used to shoot into the light, sometimes the camera could find that quite difficult. So I will try to focus on a part of this camera. Maybe I'll try to focus on where it says, you know, this part down here, where it has the focus kind of selector, you know, single shot, continuous or minor focus. It's quite a hard thing to see. I'm currently backlit. So I will try to focus on this right now, on this camera. I'll just make my focus point tiny. There we are, no problem. And I am backlit. This camera is completely backlit by sun right now. Not a problem. Not a problem. Ah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful shot. I'm going to do another one. Let's have a little review. You got to fold down the screen to do your reviews, or you can look through the EVF. But that is focused perfectly clearly. I will put this shot in the video now. But yeah, it worked charm. Another thing that it's great at is the low light. So, you know, the estimation is that it's -6 EVF. Well, I don't know what that is in real life, but what I can tell you is that shooting in low light is now very, very easy, like extremely easy. And also the lens that I used to find the most tricky to focus with in low light was the 56 1.2, which I would use a lot for, you know, during speeches and things like that, you know, to just capture people. And sometimes in low light that was kind of tricky. Well, I used that lens a lot and no problem. Focus is first class. I was going to say I could go and get it now, take it out, put it on, take a shot of something, but this is quite a bright room, so it's not really going to challenge it too much. So I'm not going to do that. But it's good. The autofocus is great. Way better than the X-Pro3. Way better than the X100. The other great thing about this new camera is the new classic negative. Now, in my unboxing video, which is linked somewhere, I put in some settings for my tweaked version of the classic negative, which I'm still using, and I do definitely prefer than the out of the box classic negative look. I do find that the classic negative look is beautiful, but it's just a tad too desaturated for me. I find it just a little bit too flat. So I kind of created my own, and this is one of the great things about this camera. You could, if you weren't big into kind of maybe shooting raw, taking your shots into Lightroom or Aperture or wherever, into your raw editor, and messing around with them and getting your own look and exporting them all as JPEGs and doing whatever you're going to do with them, If you weren't bothered with any of that and you just wanted to shoot in JPEG but you wanted your own style, this is the camera, because this camera has so many settings that you can change to get the look you want. First of all, you've got all the amazing film simulations that look just great, but then you can customize them to the nth degree. I mean, you can change the amount of grain, the size of the grain, you can change the tone curve, you can change the saturation of the colors or the desaturation, you can change if the image is going to be sharp or not so sharp, to various degrees. You can modify how much detail is going to be in the highlights and the shadows. There's loads of things you can do. So you really can get a look, if you were to wanted to take that time and really try to get a look that you liked and you were super happy with, you could definitely do it on the X-Pro3. So that's what I did with Classic Negative. Now what I will say is, I had hoped that I could probably not get away with it, but that's probably the wrong term, but I hoped that I could go off and shoot a wedding in Classic Negative with my tweaked Classic Negative look and deliver that wedding with that look. But what I found was that I just wasn't crazy about the files. Now that could be because of a couple of things. One was it was a winter wedding, so it's super dark right now here in Ireland. There's not a lot of available daylight, and it was a very dull day. And the other thing is that the environment that I was shooting in that morning, the lighting conditions in the rooms wasn't great. There was maybe one window, then there was maybe an overhead chandelier, then there was white LEDs coming off a Christmas tree, then there was table lamps, and they were all given different color temperatures, so the light was just all wacky and weird. Which when you're shooting with RAW, you can kind of tweak that quite a lot in post. With a JPEG, there's only so much really that you can do. You can maybe warm it up a bit or cool it down or change the the greens and the magentas, but overall there's not a huge amount that I can do anyway. Maybe other people are better at that kind of thing, but I just found that I couldn't quite get it to look the way I wanted it to. So I had to, luckily I shot it on RAW plus JPEG, so I still had the RAWs to play with. So I eventually, after editing about maybe a couple of hundred JPEGs, I went, you know what, I'm going to start again and just go back and shoot or edit this wedding in RAW. Which I still have to do, but what I will do at the end of this video is I'll throw in a few sample images, and there'll be some personal shots in there. I may well have dropped them in as I'm talking. I don't know what I'm doing, but I may well have done that. If I have, there you go. But I will probably put on some kind of little slideshow at the very end of this video for sure to show some images. What else? Video. Well, this is video. This is shooting in Eterna, I hope, maybe. I think it's shooting in Eterna. The last video I shot, the unboxing, was shot in Eterna. I mentioned that I might tweak it. I didn't tweak it. It was just straight out of the camera, Eterna. So this is also shooting in Eterna. I like it. I have shot some video, and again I will stick it in. What I will say is that the continuous autofocus now on video seems to be very good. Test now. How's that? Is that good? Is that good? What if I do this? What if I do this? 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 I don't hear the camera doing anything. Anyway, hopefully that worked. It's getting dark in here again now. I hope it's not too dark. Might open up the blind. Blind up. Oh, that's much better. Oh, that's much better. It was getting very dark there. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, overall, I love the camera. I haven't had any complaints. I haven't had any problems, so no lockups, no hang-ups, no weird error messages, nothing like that. It's performed very well. So, yeah, I mean, what else can I say? What else can I say? What else can I tell you about it? I don't know. I don't know what else I can tell you about it. Maybe I'll just throw in some sample images and you can make your own mind up. But what I will say is, in summary, I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it is beautiful. Oh, people asked, is this good? Is it? I think so. I will say this. It's easier to see probably for you now because you have a bit of daylight there. But now, for me, it's very hard to see. I'd have to do that. That's okay. I don't mind. I hardly ever look at it, to be honest with you. It's kind of maybe a little bit gimmicky, but I'd rather have that than not have it. Does that make sense? I'd rather have this little small display than just all of this. I'd rather have that. And I'd rather have that than a screen, I think. I think I'm going to learn to really, or grow to really, really love the fact that there's no screen. Because it looks cool, doesn't it? I think it looks cool. That looks cool. I mean, imagine that just had a big screen like an X-Pro3. You'd be like, just an upgrade, isn't it? Just faster autofocus and stuff. But now it's got something kind of different about it. And that's cool. I think it's cool. So yeah, I love it. I think it's really, really nice little camera. It's much easier to see in daylight, weirdly. When you go indoors, it's not backlit or anything, but that's good. Because imagine if that was backlit. Imagine that had light coming from it. And every time you raised the camera to your eye, you had this glow down here. That would only annoy you. And then you'd be going, oh, I need to turn that light off. The other thing that I forgot to mention is, by the way, the EVF no longer has the little button that the X-Pro2 and other cameras have, where you can choose to have EVF on, EVF off, LCD on, LCD off, you know, auto EVF, all this kind of malarkey. Now it's just, you can't configure it at all. It's just, the EVF is always going to be on as soon as you put your eye to it. So if I lift up this, EVF is on. Take it away, it's off. And it's really quick. I have found that when you take shots like this, it can be temperamental with glasses. So certain angles, so it's on. I'm not having any problems with it now. Isn't that the way? Isn't that typical? No problems. Yeah, it's really good actually. It's really good. It's really reliable and it's super fast. So it seems to be much better. It seems to be much better than the X-Pro2 or the X100 everywhere at that. That's just every time you pick it up, it's on. There's no delay. It's super. Wow, it's always on. EVF is great again. I think that's it. I'm a happy man and I like this camera a lot. I'm going to leave it there. What I'd like to know is there anything that I have forgotten to tell you about? Because I'm sure there is. I have a tendency to daydream and go off topic. So if I have done that, please let me know. Ask me any questions you want in the timeline. Why do I have this cut on my nose, for example, may be a question you might have, and I'll happily tell you. But until then, ask me anything you want to know about the X-Pro3 and I will tell you. It's good. You should get one, or even two, and you'll make yourself very happy. I promise. Cheers. Later. Bye.